Hey, if you've ever been on a thyroid treatment journey that left you feeling just confused, exhausted, and like nobody was listening, then this is for you. We're going to break down the really complex physiology behind that whole experience and show you step by step why your story makes perfect biological sense.
And let's just get this out of the way right at the top. The most important thing for you to hear is this. What you went through, what you felt, it was not in your head. You didn't imagine it. This wasn't a failure of willpower. You were not weak. This was your biology.
So, our whole goal today is to pull back the curtain on that biology. We're going to connect the dots between what you actually lived through and the physiological chaos that was happening inside your body. We're going to turn what felt like a complete mystery into a story that is clear and, finally, makes sense.
Okay, so let's get into it, right from the very beginning. We're calling this first part the treatment roller coaster. And honestly, there's no better way to describe it. It's that period of feeling amazing, followed by a crash that is just devastating.
So the story kicks off back in 2006, a Hashimoto's diagnosis. You can see the TSH is way up there at 13. That's your brain screaming for more thyroid hormone. And you've got the antibodies, which confirms it's an autoimmune issue. Right away, treatment starts with 125 micrograms of T4. Now, 3 months later, the TSH number looks better, so the dose gets cut to 100. If you're just looking at the lab report, you'd think, great, progress. But this was actually the beginning of a huge problem.
Right, let's focus on this number for a second. 125 micrograms. You have to understand, for someone with autoimmune thyroiditis, this is a massive starting dose. I mean, the typical approach is to start low and go slow, maybe 25, maybe 50 micrograms. Instead, your system was just flooded with hormone. And that right there, that was the first injury.
And you know, this totally explains that initial honeymoon phase, doesn't it? For a little while, you probably felt fantastic. You felt sharp, full of energy, maybe the scale was even moving down. But what was really happening? Well, that was an adrenaline and dopamine rush. That weight loss, it was mostly water, and your appetite was suppressed. So it felt like you were getting healthy, but it was really just a temporary surge. Your body was in overdrive, and that is just not sustainable.
And then, the collapse. See, after 3 months on that super high dose, your body started to adapt. It actually slowed down its own ability to convert that storage T4 hormone into the active T3 hormone your cells actually run on. So when the doctor lowered the dose, even though the blood work looks better, your cells were suddenly and completely starving for fuel. And that's when all the horrible, debilitating symptoms really started to kick in.
This brings us to the absolute heart of the matter, and it's something so many people go through. It's that maddening mystery of your lab results looking normal, while you feel worse and worse every single day. So let's unpack why your cells were starving.
The entire answer is wrapped up in this one concept, cellular hypothyroidism. This is the big disconnect. It means you can have plenty of thyroid hormone just floating around in your blood, but for a whole bunch of reasons, it's not actually getting inside your cells to do its job. Think of it like this. Your car's gas tank is full, but the fuel line is clogged. The engine's not getting any gas.
And when your cells are starving like that, what does it feel like? Well, it feels like this. It's the weight gain that makes no sense. The burning stomach, the GERD. It's that deep, severe muscle stiffness and pain in your back and tendons. And maybe the worst part, that awful, cruel combination of your body being completely exhausted, but your brain just will not turn off.
Yeah, that insomnia, it's a classic sign of what's called a thyroid-cortisol mismatch. When your cells are low on thyroid hormone, your body tries to make up for it by pumping out stress hormones like cortisol, but it does it at all the wrong times, like in the middle of the night. So your body is just bone tired, but your nervous system is completely wired, stuck in fight or flight mode.
This right here is such a powerful piece of the puzzle. A massive clue in this story was that when you stopped taking the T4 medication altogether, you actually felt a little bit better. And that's wild, right? It proves that the problem wasn't a simple lack of hormone. The problem was that your body was struggling with the wrong form of hormone, that T4, and it was building up, becoming toxic, and basically creating more problems than it was solving.
So years of suffering went by. But then, almost by accident, a discovery was made that became the key. The one clue that unlocked this entire mystery, and this was the folate breakthrough.
The whole breakthrough really boiled down to asking this one simple but incredibly powerful question. After dealing with these agonizing muscle cramps, fingers locking up, all this stiffness, taking a simple folate supplement brought almost instant relief. Why? I mean, what on earth could folate possibly have to do with your thyroid?
Okay, so here's how it worked. All those years of cellular hypothyroidism basically created something called a folate trap, which means folate couldn't get into the cells where it was needed. This crippled a really vital process called methylation. Now, methylation does a ton of things, but one of its jobs is to help manage calcium in your muscles. Without it, calcium gets stuck and your muscles literally can't relax. Taking that folate supplement basically jump-started the whole methylation process again, letting the muscles finally function properly. That's why the relief was so fast.
So here's the key insight. This wasn't just about needing more folate. The fact that the relief was so immediate and so dramatic, that pointed to a major underlying methylation block. This is a complex metabolic issue that's deeply connected to thyroid function, but frankly, very few mainstream doctors even know to look for it. And that is why the root cause was missed for so long.
You see, once you understand this connection, it changes absolutely everything. It opens up a totally new path forward, one that's based on listening to and understanding your body's unique biology, not just chasing a TSH number on a lab report.
So let's put all the pieces together into what we can call a big picture diagnosis. This is what was really going on. Yes, the root cause was autoimmune or Hashimoto's, but layered on top of that, you had a poor tolerance for T4 hormone, a huge sensitivity to it building up, a deep need for nutrients like folate and magnesium to be in balance, and a system where the detox pathways were just easily overwhelmed. It was never, ever just one thing.
And let's just say it one more time, because it is so important to hear. This whole complicated, interconnected picture, this is real biology. This is a physiological fact. It is not something you made up or exaggerated in your head.
So what does a real path forward look like? Well, it's about treating the system gently. It's built on principles like these, using the lowest dose that actually works to prevent that toxic buildup, keeping everything stable, supporting your body with the key nutrients it's crying out for, and maybe most of all, it's about shifting the focus from just stimulating the system to creating calm. It's about finally working with your unique biology, not fighting against it.
And we're going to end on this, because after everything you have been through, the confusion, the pain, being dismissed, please know this deep in your bones, you are not broken. Your body, in its own incredible wisdom, was doing everything it could to adapt and survive under some really difficult conditions. And understanding that story, that's the first real step toward healing.